Hey, what's up, your boy Domuto. We're back with another video. Today we're watching Unreal Gaming, Dragon Ball Kakumei, Ultimate Gohan vs. Jiren in Universe 11, Battle of the Strongest Warriors begin. Okay. Y'all know what it is, bro. Y'all know what it is, man. We ain't about to waste time. Gohan versus Jiren. Yes, sir.
As our story continues inside of Universe 11, with Gohan now being shown getting ready and gearing up to face off against Universe 11's mightiest warrior, Jiren, as it was only upon the request of Gohan in wishing to battle and train against Jiren, where Gohan from there went on to comment, "I have to look for my limits. That's all that matters to me in this fight. I'll go all out," as with Jiren now remaining eerily quiet, as both Angel Margarita and the current God of Destruction of Universe 11, Toppo, having to observe. It was only from there where Toppo went on to comment, "Protect this planet and its inhabitants," with Margarita responding right, as she was from there shown tapping her staff down and creating somewhat of a barrier around both Gohan and Jiren. You can almost feel the tension now brewing between the two, as with Jiren having to look at Gohan, it was only upon the barrier having to be formed where Jiren was not looking to waste any more time by then telling Gohan, "Come," to which Gohan did, because with Gohan shown having to speed blitz his way towards Jiren and getting ready to strike him, it was only upon Gohan attempting to do so where Jiren had gone as far as to move out of the way, with Gohan saying to himself,
I don't think you got it like that.
I missed him. Alright, Galactic Donut! To where with Gohan assuming the fact that the Galactic Donut was in fact going to be enough in having to keep Jiren in place, we shockingly enough from that point then see how before Gohan could even launch the Galactic Donut, Jiren from out of nowhere had gone as far as to get right up in Gohan's face by grabbing him by the skull in an incredibly spectacular fashion, mind you, with Jiren looking absolutely serious and focused. If it wasn't evident by now that
a little bit more stronger than from the Tournament of Power, too.
This had certainly proved to be it, because it was only upon having to grab Gohan by the face, he was only then shown having to throw Gohan all around the barrier in which Margarita had created, as this now had resulted with Gohan's body being shown bouncing all throughout the barrier, with Jiren slowly being shown walking on forward, in which upon having to do so, Jiren at the same time knew that Gohan was making his way towards him, and that was when Jiren had once again with strategic focus had gone as far as to strike Gohan again, which not only went as far as to rattle and shake Gohan up to his very core, but all it really ever took from Jiren in order to establish dominance was two simple strategic strikes in order for Gohan to be shown bleeding, because it was upon Gohan being shown clutching on down to his chest and collapsing down to his knees, where he was only from that point shown in tremendous amounts of pain.
Hey, Gohan, this ain't no
never felt in his life
run-of-the-mill warrior right
here.
here.
While Gohan was on the ground, with Jiren now being shown casually walking towards him and kneeling on down by grabbing onto his hair, it was only upon Jiren from that point now being shown lifting Gohan up and staring him dead in the face, where Gohan from that point immediately knew that he stood no chance against Jiren, as with Gohan now also being shown having to fade in and out of consciousness, it was only from there where Gohan went on to say to himself, I'm completely stunned. I can't move." But then, that was when Jiren had quickly let go, and from that point then being shown having to elbow Gohan,
dude, get a hit in or something.
From that point quickly followed in delivering a thunderous drop kick to Gohan's stomach, as Gohan's body was shown flying out by hitting the barrier behind him and falling back down onto the ground. There was nothing at this point that Gohan could have done to even remotely come close and simply touching Jiren, as even with all of this being the case, Gohan even then still refused to back down against Jiren now. So instead of now having to accept defeat, that was when Gohan was slowly but surely now beginning to rise back up on his feet, as even with the God of Destruction Toppo also now being shown being surprised by this, that was when Toppo went on to comment, "Gohan has resources." As of course with Jiren patiently waiting, that was when Gohan had still even from there attempted to attack him anyway, in which despite the overwhelming obstacle that Gohan is currently facing in the form of Jiren, he knows he's outmuscled, he knows he's outskilled, he knows that he's completely no match for him, but even then despite all of that, Gohan still tries anyway. However, in what I dare will say is one of the cleanest looking pages stages ever, Gohan attempted to uppercut Jiren, only for Jiren to move out of the way, and from that point mid-strike them being shown getting ever so closer towards Gohan's face, as it was only within that very second as Jiren had gone as far as to make contact by punching Gohan in the face. Despite all of the blood now being shown bursting out of Gohan's face and mouth, he still managed to break his fall anyway, which not only had gone as far as to surprise Jiren in seeing Gohan still being able to stand, but in his best attempts to try and attack Jiren with everything he had anyway, we only then take a look in seeing as to how Gohan from that point had now managed to fire a gigantic Kamehameha directly in Jiren's face, which upon mid-blast had now gone as far as to demonstrate the difference in power between both Gohan and Jiren, because it was only through Gohan's Kamehameha where Jiren had emerged, and from that point now being shown uppercutting Gohan in the face again in a very casual-like way, mind you, because Jiren is still not using his full power during the midst of this fight, so even as he was casually then being shown uppercutting Gohan and spilling his blood all over the landscape, we only from that point see how Gohan's body once again had ricocheted off the top of the dome, and from there being shown falling back down onto the ground.
What's your bike start bouncing off ground and stuff? You need to go ahead and just like shit this one out.
Back up anyway, as it was only this in and of itself in which caused the Jiren to have a flashback and dating back to when he was a little boy, which had now gone as far as to reflect back during the times when little Jiren had refused to give up during the midst of battle as well, as we from that point then see a flashback involving both Jiren and his master Gichen, with Gichen being shown having to train Jiren, as he was from there shown kicking Jiren right back down onto the ground, as this had now gone as far as to become a reflective moment in time, especially with what's going on involving Jiren and Gohan now, because even with Jiren telling his master that he had refused to give up, it was only from there where Gichen went on to tell Jiren, fighting to get stronger is not enough. You have to hold on to everything you have in order to win your fights.
Okay.
What are you talking about, little Jiren shouts. I've got nothing left to lose.
I love the flashback. I love the flashback.
Gichen, let's continue. But then, before a naive little Jiren could even approach in confronting his master, that's when Gichen went on to sideswipe Jiren by shouting, imbecile, you have to fight for your values and for those you love, no matter how many there are. Because the day you really don't have anything, the day you don't fight for anyone, is the day the flame that burns inside you is extinguished. You shouldn't wait until your loved ones are about to die or in danger to fight on their behalf, Gichen says. You must be strong for them when the time comes. And with little Jiren now shown with tears in his eyes, we now fast forward to an adult Jiren who's looking at Gohan with a dead serious look on his face, as it was only then where Jiren went on to ask Gohan, why do you keep getting up, son Gohan? Because I can still do it, Gohan shouts, in which this in and of itself had now prompted Jiren in powering up with such fury that you could now see just how ferocious Jiren had looked as he was getting ready to engage Gohan again. But despite this being the case with Jiren now being shown powering up, Gohan was from there quickly shown extending his arms out and creating multiple energy orbs around him, as with Gohan now also being shown powering up himself, Gohan had assumed the position now that these blasts were certainly going to make a difference in this fight, to which unfortunately for him they did not, because the moment Jiren made his way in sideswiping these attacks by them being shown having to backhand Gohan across the face, there was nothing that Gohan could have done at this current point in time to even remotely hold a candle to Jiren, because even despite the fact of Gohan's body being shown tumbling and rolling down on the ground, Jiren was still able to yet again find another opening, and from there once again being shown connecting another ferocious shot to Gohan's face, which had now ultimately resulted in once again Gohan being shown having to lay down on his back with Jiren not letting up
Gohan one hit in, guy.
Despite the fact of Jiren having to slowly make his way back towards Gohan and glaring Gohan to such an extent that Jiren was actually now able to use his eyes in levitating Gohan's body upwards, which had then only kept Gohan held in place for the time being, only for Jiren to once again glare his way in speed blitzing right past Gohan as Gohan was shown having to be attacked by a barrage of punches. It was fairly evident at this point that this was what Gohan needed in order to get the best training possible if he ever were to look forward to in battling against the previously existing gods of destruction and angels, to which despite the fact of Gohan being shown having to get hit non-stop, Jiren had made sure to put a stop to this, as Jiren further went on to address Gohan by telling him, wake up, and indeed Gohan was awake, because once again from out of nowhere, Jiren had taken it upon himself to kick Gohan directly in the spine, in which we see a lot of blood having to pour from Gohan's mouth, to where even with Gohan being shown screaming in absolute agony, it was only from there where Jiren went on to tell him, the day an opposing god of destruction Destruction confronts you with the intention of reducing you and your friends to nothing, are you really sure that your little speech will spare you? As even with Gohan being shown collapsing on down to the ground, he took a moment to actually think about this, because it was only as he was then beginning to reflect on his friends and family where from out of nowhere, we then get to see how outside the barrier, a band of criminals had managed to confront both Dispo and Casserole, in which Gohan had from there insisted by telling Jiren that they needed their help, only for Jiren to respond to Gohan by looking at Gohan dead in the eyes and telling him, "No, trust your teammates, you can't do anything in your condition." Lord Topo, Margarita asks, "Don't you do anything for your companions?" "No," Topo says, "look closely. Dispo and Casserole are pretending to be in difficulties." "Oh, of course," Margarita says, with Jiren continuing, "I'll ask you one last time, son Gohan, why do you keep getting back up?" To where at his very core, the reason why Gohan keeps standing back up to fight Jiren is because of his friends. The reason why Gohan keeps getting back up to fight Jiren again is because of his family. The reason why Gohan refuses to stay down is because he knows exactly what he needs to do and who he needs to protect, in which subsequently results with Jiren having to be shown smiling, as Jiren knew exactly where Gohan was mentally without even having to say a word, in which had now only prompted Jiren's fist to glow, with Casserole having to shout, "Jiren, stop! Don't go too far!" But Jiren was in fact not going to listen, because as Jiren had now made his way ever so closer towards Gohan, that was when Jiren went on to comment, "I think it's time. My full power, the end," Jiren says. As with Jiren now looking to end it all, as Gohan was shown standing proudly tall and refusing to back down, this was ultimately the lesson that Jiren wanted to teach Gohan. This was essentially the lesson that Jiren wanted to bestow upon him, only because Gohan needs to be ready if he wishes to battle against the previously existing gods of destruction, to which by the very end of this, once it was all said and done with Gohan's body now shown on the ground as Jiren's back was facing towards him, it was only upon having to acknowledge Gohan's efforts in holding his own in this battle where Jiren went on to comment, "Well done," as it was only right then and there during that moment where Dragon Ball Kakumei manga chapter number 13 then comes to a close. Now you can make no mistake about the fact that to me this was unquestionably one of my favorite Kakumei chapters in quite a while, especially from the very beginning with the way things kicked off in this chapter. It personally reminded me of Kakumei's chapter 1 and 2, as those were without question one of the most intense manga chapters within the story of Dragon Ball Kakumei. What I really enjoyed more so about this story was seeing as to how even though Gohan was simply overpowered and could not match Jiren in raw strength alone, he didn't give up despite the overwhelming odds that were stacked against him in still attempting to take down Jiren anyway, which I think is one of the primary focuses for Gohan in calling out Jiren to begin with, because Gohan genuinely wanted to know where he stood with Jiren, as he wanted to do what his father did during the Tournament of Power, and that is to essentially go far and beyond what he currently is right now, in which what better other way to do so than to battle against one of the multiverse's strongest, to where down the comment section below what I want to know from you guys is how you guys personally felt about this manga chapter, and on top of the end result with Gohan being shown going down to Jiren, but with Jiren also giving Gohan the respect that he deserved, I want to know if this is a concept that you guys would like to see within the main canonical series of Dragon Ball Super, and more importantly, where would you guys rank this manga chapter by comparison to some of the older Dragon Ball Kakumei manga?
This was a cool little chapter. It was a good chapter, take that back. Really good chapter, man. Damn, my boy Gohan got cooked, I ain't gonna lie. But it's alright, man. It was Jiren. I mean, what can he do? You know what I'm saying? What can he do? Yeah, this was a cool little chapter, man. Dragon Ball Kakumei, I love it. Shout out to Unreal Gaming for this video. Check out the last chapter of Kakumei right here. Check out Check out Ultra Vegito. Ultra Vegito right here, man. Ultra Vegito. Call me RJ. You know what I'm saying? And you like my reactions, you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.